Any no-goes?
No, sir. They were all first-time goes. Enter.
You wanted to see me first, Sergeant?
Yes. Bauer and Sanders, get in here, too.
Yes, First Sergeant.
Excuse me, sir. Your platoon sergeant informed me that the three of you were at an off-base hotel party that took place a few nights ago. I understand there's quite a bit of drinking going on. Things got a little rowdy. What do you guys think you are, back on the block? This kind of behavior is completely unacceptable. You do understand that?
Yes, First Sergeant.
And your platoon sergeant is going to have plenty more to say about this later. But that's not why you're here right now. At ease. The reason I brought you all in here is that I also heard the three of you were responsible for taking action to prevent a possible sexual assault. Is that correct?
Yes,
First Sergeant.
Well, that's outstanding. I'm glad to see you put your Army values into play to prevent that assault. But more important than that, I'm glad you did the honorable thing, and that is to step in to take care of your teammates. I mean, I know it's not always easy to motivate yourself in a situation like that, but that's what soldiers do, huh?
Who?
Let me ask you this. We just had sexual assault prevention training, what, not 3 weeks ago, sir? What role did that play in all of this?
First Sergeant, our training definitely made it easier for me to talk to Bauer and Sanders about what was going on.
First Sergeant, he was on it way before we were.
Only because after that sexual assault with Jones a few months back, I promised myself that I would never let my platoon down or fail to have the back of a battle buddy. First Sergeant, I never want to deal with that kind of guilt again.
First Sergeant, same here. The red flags were definitely flying that night. Anderson kept talking up his game. You know, that sexual harassment message that we got at training, it really started to make more sense to me, First Sergeant.
I'm sure at the beginning he thought that I was overacting, First Sergeant.
I knew when he came to me, it was no act.
Cool. Nice to see you guys took the recent sexual assault prevention training to heart.
How does it feel knowing you prevented a sexual assault?
Feels good, sir.
Sir, as good as it feels, I can't imagine how guilty I feel if we wouldn't have taken action.
I don't even want to think about what could have happened had the three of you not intervened. The last thing our unit needed was another sexual assault. We're still reeling from Campbell being convicted and sent away. Thank God nothing happened because you all put your Army values into action. Anderson probably crossed the line, but you all kept something from escalating and potentially kept him from being charged with a felony.
And you can rest assured, CID will be looking into Anderson's alleged actions. So, nice job, soldiers. Keep it up. Who?
Who?
All right, you're dismissed. Now, see, sir, that's the kind of conversation I like having with the troops, you know, talking about how a sexual assault was prevented as opposed to how one should have been prevented.
Absolutely. I know firsthand the devastating impact a single assault can have on a victim, the offender, and an entire unit.
I know you speak from experience, sir.
I'll say it was just about a year ago. I saw one of the best young soldiers I've ever had become devastated by a sexual assault. She was an outstanding soldier, confident, a natural leader. After the assault, she was never the same. She completely lacked focus, lost her competitive edge.
Hey, what is your problem? Why do you want to assault?
She's been in counseling for a while, and she may never, ever fully recover from the emotional trauma. I remember her goal was to have a career in the military, rise to the chain of command. Sky was the limit for her. She had all the necessary skills.
So what happened to the soldier that assaulted her?
Guilty as charged.
Come with me, please.
He's now serving a 5-year sentence. Clearly, he didn't live up to the Army values.
Yes, Sergeant.
That single sexual assault not only affected the victim and the offender, but it also had a negative impact on my old unit.
Incredible how one act like that can bring down your morale and adversely affect unit readiness.
Yeah. And at least on one occasion, because of those distractions, their safety was put at risk.
So one act that could have been prevented ends up dividing your old unit.
It sure did. From that day forward, my soldiers looked at each other in a different light. Their bond of trust was broken. Rumors began to spread. Before I knew it, members were taking sides on the issue. They argued on a daily basis about who was at fault, who could have prevented the assault from happening in the first place.
Wow, sir, I bet you had a lot of work to do to rebuild
Both morale and cohesiveness.
First Sergeant, it was like starting over. Look, I can't emphasize enough the importance of training and pushing the prevention message.
ounce of prevention, right, sir?
By training my soldiers on sexual assault, and giving them the tools that they need to prevent future assaults, hopefully I will never have this assault problem again.
As leaders in the United States Army, we need to create a climate and culture that has no tolerance for sexually laden or demeaning gestures, jokes, or comments. Soldiers need to respect each other at all times. Something that may seem as innocent as a sexually laden innuendo or comment sets the tone for other improper behavior that is inconsistent with the Army values. Soldiers need to be conscious of the signals they send to each other. Behavior such as inappropriate flirting or touching may invite unwanted sexual advances and should be avoided. Soldiers can prevent sexual assaults by always having a battle buddy with them. Part of the warrior ethos is that soldiers look out for each other, in theater and out. All Army soldiers are held to a higher standard of loyalty and selfless service, not just to our country, but to all fellow soldiers as well.
Sexual assault and sexual harassment are crimes that cannot and will not be tolerated. As leaders, we must motivate and educate our soldiers with the skills and knowledge of how to prevent and eliminate sexual assault and sexual harassment. We want our soldiers to apply these skills and knowledge when faced with situations where their fellow soldiers' safety is at risk. Motivating and educating soldiers to prevent these crimes is not just a one-day training session. We must talk about these subjects and socialize them until our soldiers feel that intervening is second nature, like taking the car keys away from a drunk driver. Our elimination and prevention message to our soldiers must be a message delivered routinely. All of us as soldiers and leaders have a tremendous opportunity to make a significant impact on these sensitive subjects that have no place in our military or our society. Much like the impact we made on racial diversity, the Army is now one of the most racially integrated and diverse institutions in the world. We made it clear that we would not tolerate discrimination, harassment, and verbal abuse based on race. We need to accomplish the same thing for gender-based discrimination as it applies to sexual assault and sexual harassment. That mission is in your hands. I encourage you to motivate first-line supervisors to set a zero-tolerance climate for sexual assault and sexual harassment of our soldiers. Through efforts by soldiers and leaders at all levels, we will create a climate that ensures sexual assault or sexual harassment acts are unacceptable. It is our responsibility to provide our soldiers with the tools they need to intervene, to act, and to motivate their soldiers in the prevention of sexual assault and sexual harassment. I am strong, I am Army strong, and so are you.